Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to UCEA's YouTube Live. This is Scott Richardson, a graduate research assistant and doctoral student at UCEA headquarters at the University of Virginia. I'm here today to interview Dr. Kristin Huggins as part of her candidacy for the UCEA Executive Committee. Today's listeners will be hearing from Dr. Huggins. Her teaching and research is focused on leadership development for curricular and instructional improvement. Her recent work has been published in Leadership and Policy in Schools, Professional Capital and Community, and Journal of School Leadership. Dr. Huggins is currently co-authoring a book on leadership coaching as a transformative approach to school leadership development. She's been active in service to Division A, the Leadership for Social Justice Special Interest Group, or SIG, as we know it as, and the Leadership for School Improvement SIG for the American Educational Research Association. During this past year, the 2018-2019 academic year, Dr. Huggins was the chairperson of the Leadership for School Improvement Special Interest Group. So welcome, Dr. Huggins.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, well, let's just get straight into it. Let's begin with the first question. Please tell us about your background and your scholarship as it relates to leadership preparation and practice.
So currently I'm an associate professor of educational leadership at Washington State University. This is my 10th year as a higher education faculty member. All of that time I have been at WSU. I spent 11 years as a K-12 practitioner in Oklahoma and Texas before pursuing my PhD. And my research interest. So my work revolves around leadership development in practice and the distributed nature of that work. Currently, as you mentioned, I'm involved in a book project that puts forth a leadership development model that includes professional communities and leadership coaching as it assists practicing leaders in addressing problems of practice through a research-practice partnership. That work also puts forth the concept of contextually relevant leadership, as the model is based upon rural school leadership development. That is my colleague with whom I'm writing the book, and I believe that contexts influence educational leadership practice.
All right, thank you. You've served for several years as a plenary session representative. Tell us about your engagement in UCEA's governance.
So I have been the plenary session representative for Washington State since 2014, which means that I'm the voting member for my institution concerning all policy and membership applications. While I have been engaged in many UCEA initiatives, part of my desire to run for the UCEA Executive Committee is to become more involved in the governance aspects of UCEA.
All right, and thank you. And what other ways have you been engaged in UCEA during that time?
So my initial engagement with UCEA occurred when I was a graduate student. I worked at both the 2008 and 2009 conventions when people registered and checked in. And I was also a Clark Scholar in 2008. As an assistant professor, I was engaged with UCEA through being the exemplary programs section editor for the UCEA Review. I also have been an associate editor for 2 of the 3 UCEA journals. So from 2009 to 2013, I was an associate editor for EAQ, or Educational Administration Quarterly. And from 2011 to 2018, I was an associate editor for the Journal of Research on Leadership Education, or JRLE. Besides being WSU's representative on the plenum since 2014, for the past 3.5 years, I've been part of UCEA's Program Design Network Initiative and the Powerful Learning Experience with a Focus on Equity group, and have been utilizing that work as program coordinator at my institution.
All right, now you've already discussed a little bit with us this next question, but I was hopeful you could go a little more in depth, particularly talking with us about your scholarship, your research projects, teaching and or service that can inform the work of UCEA, particularly the work of the Executive Committee.
So as I mentioned, the book that I'm currently working on provides a model for ways in which leadership can be developed in practice. With the changes in ESSA And as states look for ways to make changes to professional development for leaders, I believe I have a research base that can provide assistance in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, my work has occurred through a research practice partnership. As the field evolves, there will be an even greater need for understanding the knowledge and skills needed to have effective research practice partnerships for higher education institutions to be seen as viable to influence in the educational leadership field. So I really think that I can make a contribution in those areas.
Right. All right. Well, thank you. This last question is a bit more personal. You already mentioned one reason before, but if you could just share, all the reasons why you've chosen to run for the executive committee at all, and really what your vision would be for the future of UCEA.
So, as I mentioned previously, I have been active in UCEA in a variety of ways over the last 11 years. And when I was approached about my willingness to run for the executive committee, it seemed like the next level of commitment I could provide to the organization. I have been a champion at my own institution for increasing educational leadership program and practice quality. I am an advocate for the work UCEA does, and I would like to be even more engaged in that work. And as I mentioned a little bit in the last question, one of my visions for UCEA is that we become more tightly coupled with practice, and that practice sees us as viable, and that we can make a contribution to practice.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your thoughtful responses, Dr. Huggins. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you about these topics.
Well, I appreciate your time, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. This interview will be archived on the UCEA YouTube channel. Listeners can access or share this interview at any time. And we also encourage listeners to post comments and questions on this interview in the comments section. So thank you all, everyone, and goodbye for now.